Good morning and welcome to Namaste Today, a spiritual way to kickstart your day. I'm your heartfelt host and the Sensei to serious joy, Christopher Witecki. This audio blogcast is for Thursday, July 27, 2017. Welcome to a breakthrough day. Namaste. Well, friends and earthly neighbor, today is a two-part day. You wake up to step 4, which is breakdown, and will go to sleep to step 5, which is breakthrough. In today's zodiac weather, I'll talk about how the sun and Mars are conspiring for your happiness. But first, since we are having a tour of the heart, I thought I'd ask a very important question in today's tea time. Who's the boss? So go steep yourself some tea, and let's have our daily tea time. Hello, my friend, and welcome to our tea time. Today's tea time topic is, who's the boss? Now, what I'm referring to is an ancient old battle that goes on inside of us, and that battle is, which voice inside of us is truly the boss? We all have many voices inside of us. Probably the loudest is the smartass, which is our mind, and the dumbass, which is our ego. Because human race has been based on survival for really as long as we can remember, our ego and our mind, or our smarts, have been the two voices that have taken precedent because we have been frankly worried about dying. And so in a day when you're worried about surviving, there's no time for other voices such as the heart or even intuition. In fact, we didn't really listen to intuition whatsoever. We would go to oracles, and the only time we even went to our intuition was probably to pray. So given this context of voices, which of these voices is the boss? Who's the boss inside of us? And the answer is your heart. Your heart is the center of your soul. Your heart is where everything is manifesting from in every moment. Your capacity to be in touch with your heart is in proportion to your enlightenment. So the more enlightened a person becomes is based on how more in touch they are with their heart, because the heart is the source of our light on earth. Love and light are basically the same energy and same force. Now you can probably agree that for most of the earth, survival is no longer a question. We have accomplished our ability to fight disease. We have food available in most places of the world. Now, certainly there's a lot of atrocities. There are people starving. There are really hard pockets. But the majority of the world's population, I would say, is out of the fight or flight survival mode. And this is part of our turn to the age of Aquarius. As we look to ascend to the fifth dimension, as they say, part of what this fifth dimension involves is what we pay attention to inside ourself. And part of that evolution is moving out of the psyche of fight or flight. So why aren't we listening to our heart if we've come to a place where we really don't fear a Game of Thrones coming through the door any moment to kill us? Why do we still not listen to that core center? And the answer is the smartass. That's right, our minds. In fact, when I asked the question, who's the boss, I bet your mind answered, I am. Over the last 300-400 years, as the human race delved into science and reason, and human beings began to become more and more educated and informed, it really increased the power and focus of us being in our mind. And now with personal devices like the iPhone and the Galaxy and your tablet and all these other things like Facebook, even where you are right now, it pulls us further into the mind. And then, of course, you have all these commercials on television that's constantly asking you to question the sanity of your mind and offering the opportunity to give you a pill that will fix your mind. Now, one thing I love about Master Buddha is that Master Buddha understood thousands of years ago, whenever he actually incarnated, he understood that one of man's biggest difficulties was, in fact, that smartass, the mind, even before human beings were educated on a large scale like they are today. Men and women have been preoccupied in their mind for centuries, and frankly, I believe the boss of our soul is the heart, but the one that has it captive is the mind. All you have to do is observe your own thoughts to witness this in action. For instance, if my heart says something like, "Oh, I want to go to the movies tonight," my mind will suddenly have this immediate response like, "Oh, we have things to do, there's work to do, there's a to-do list, it's expensive, it's hard to find parking." My smartass will basically use propaganda against my heart's request. I catch my mind trying to talk me out of everything. And part of this is habit, and part of this is habit based on the fear of fight or flight in our psyche, our mental psyche. Our minds often take control of our reality under the excuse that it's protecting us. But really, often the thoughts, if you look at their intent and motive, seems to be to prevent us from going down what our heart's path is. And a lot of times what we're thinking is not even original thought. We're repeating things our mother said, things our father said, things society said. It's not even original thought that is arguing with our heart. And so today I say to you, my friend, it's time to put that smartass in check. We are in the sun sign of Leo. We have 2 eclipses in Leo, 2 new moons and 1 lunar eclipse. The north node's in Leo. The universe is saying now is the time to get into your heart, which means now is the time to liberate your heart from the smartass. Don't let that smartass boss your heart around. Now, if you're wondering why I have come to the conclusion that the heart is the boss, I can thank astrology for this. The sun in our solar system represents the heart. Mercury, which is the first planet rotating around the heart, is our thoughts. And the solar system is the soul's system. This is how the soul works. So what the solar system tells us is that we have a bright, bright heart that's actually giving all the energy to the entire solar system. It has all the gravity. It has all the power. And it has this tiny little pea pod of a planet spinning around it really fast that is trying to actually put the sun under its control. The sun does not revolve around Mercury. Mercury revolves around the sun. But humankind has allowed their Mercury to boss their entire solar system around. In the next 24-36 hours, you will be coming to some realizations about your heart. In particular, you'll be coming into some realizations that your heart does not belong being attached to something it has been attached to. And this may even be bad feelings. Like you may say, I don't belong feeling bad all the time. I don't belong in a loveless marriage. I don't belong in this crazy job. It can be anything, really. But the real point of this little show today is to be observant of what your mind says in response. When your heart speaks its truth, how does your mind respond? Now, I went through this transit in a big way. I happen to be interested in masterminding, so I was also privy to a lot of manipulation in my childhood, so I saw a lot of mind games, and I had really a battle with my mind at one point where my mind was controlling my life, it was running me ragged, and it was time to liberate my heart from my mind. And the way I did it was quite simple. I call it the good or gooder principle. I basically observed my thoughts, and whenever my mind said something that went against the king, which is my inner child, my heart, whenever my mind talked down to the king, whenever my mind said no to the king, whenever my mind tried to talk my heart out of something, I said stop right now and rewrite that thought. So I must have looked like an absolute lunatic talking to myself out in 3D space in the house and all around because I was having this constant battle forcing my mind to rewrite the thought. And when my mind rewrites the thought, I told my mind the answer must be good or gooder than it was. Now the concept of good or gooder has to do with brainwashing, all right? The mind only understands things by comparison. That's what Gemini is. One side of the mind thinks one thing, one side of the mind thinks the other. You compare between the two, and you know the difference in between. So you get a full grasp through comparison. when you're trying to get your mind out of negative thinking, you can't give it the option of only one choice. Because if you rewrite your thoughts and give it one choice or one rewritten sentence, the mind will immediately look for something to compare it to. That's the nature of the mind. And usually the mind will think of a negative thing to compare it to. See, if you rewrite your thoughts between a positive and a negative, then your mind will continue on this positive-negative path. You're playing the same comparison game. Nothing is changing. You'll always be mindful of the negative, and you'll always be mindful of the positive, and your mind will always be guessing which one will it be. The way you solve that problem and brainwash yourself, which I did over the course of about 1.5 years, by the way, in a Saturn transit, is that you tell the mind, here's the two options you must come up with. It must be a good option and a gooder option. And I use the word gooder because it's not a word. And that's me telling the mind I can come up with words when I want to because my heart is creative. You're just a smart-ass mind. So in the next 36 hours, when your heart says it wants something, I challenge you to stop and rewrite the thought. You must come up with a thought that replaces it being good, and you must come up with a thought that is even gooder than the good thought. And you must tell your brain you have these two choices, good or gooder, rewrite and move forward. And you'll find this is a crazy game, especially if you're a negative thinker. I mean, I was rewriting everything. I'd be like, oh, I hate that. No, I don't hate. I tolerate or love. Like, I would keep coming up with gooder choices. And it took a long time to get us into my more negative thinking. But I did pull myself out of the rut. And I feel that it is time now to put that smartass in check. Ask your heart, who's really the boss of this spiritual experience anyways? Now, that said, it does look like we have some electrical fireworks going on in our spiritual system in the next 24 hours. I think it's time to take a look at today's moods and your zodiac weather. This zodiac weather is for Thursday, July 27, 2017. And my global forecast for planet Gaia is overcast with a good chance of showers today. Step 4 rules the day. The sun's on top of Mars, and the moon moves into wishy-washy, sensitive Libra. Let's take a look at the planets. As you wake up today, Step 4 Leo rules the day. And Step 4 Leo translates to, I belong, loving myself. Now, it's likely that you may not feel that way as you wake up today. You may not feel like you belong loving yourself. Or in other words, you may not feel very loved at all. You may feel that your heart is in the wrong place, has been invested in the wrong direction, and you may not know where the right direction is. Well, here's the first step, my friend. The first step is being honest with yourself that your heart is not happy. You may not know where it belongs, but you're going to figure out where it belongs probably in the next 24 hours or so. That'll be your first glimpse, and you'll be sure of it probably in about 3 days. But the problem of today is the universe has Mars also at Step 4 conjoining the Sun, which means the ego and the heart might be in a bit of a battle today. What I mean by battle is your heart will say, I'm not happy, and your ego will say, well, what should we do? What should we do? What should we do? And the ego will be looking outside of itself to find the solution, as if something outside of you will make you happy on the inside. Let me tell you as Sensei, that is not true. The first thing you have to do today when you realize your heart is not happy is tell your ego that its job is to make your heart happy. All right? And to directly do whatever you need done right now for yourself in this moment. So there could be a little explosive energy today. You might find yourself in a temper tantrum. You might find yourself just in some blue boo-hoos, for instance. I've been talking to clients and having readings this week, and most people are not having surprising breakdowns. Their heart knows exactly why it's sad. It knows exactly where it does not belong. It doesn't know where it does belong. But what I'm finding is as Step 4 has reached the day, they're finally ready to do something about it, finally ready to make some sort of move. So part of today's spiritual intention seems to be to get you to realize your heart's not happy somewhere and to get your ego dedicated to doing something about it. That is what I would describe as the breakdown. Could be minor, could be heavy, and depending on how much people have tried to be strong soldiers and suffer through will determine how much of a downpour or emotional outburst may come from the situation. That's the first part of the day. Then later in the day, step 5 will rule the day, which is I think, and that's where the mind now gets into this nice little argument. So at any point, you might find your mind interjecting, arguing, thinking that it has the smart solution, or putting itself in a circular thinking, going, I don't have the answer, and repeating the same thing over and over again, which basically is just putting up noise in the mind, right? So in the second half of the day, you're going to have to align your mind to get on board with the agenda, which is that the king or queen is not happy about this. And so the inner team here, your inner Congress, needs to unite and get on the team of I want to be happy. Now, this may sound simple enough, but unfortunately, we have a bit of a distraction. The moon. The moon is our emotions, and today the moon moves into Libra, and in the early degrees of Libra, which is the first decan. What that means is we're likely going to get caught up in an argument with ourselves, going back and forth, probably about how we feel about this and how we feel about that, and should we do this and should we do that. So today it's really kind of a setup for an inner traffic jam inside of you where all these voices, emotion, ego, heart, and mind, are all really fighting for the one to have the answer. That's why it's important to know who's the boss. The boss is your heart. And so breakthrough will come when you force all these parts of yourself to listen directly to the heart without judgment, with self-compassion, and just accepting what the heart is saying. Remember, the magic answer to the heart is yes, and what else, Your Majesty? Now, fortunately, this is all going to be building to a breakthrough. You might have a breakthrough this evening. You might have a breakthrough tomorrow when you wake up to step 5 and come to the realization. But the breakthrough is likely tied to the moon crossing over Jupiter tomorrow on Friday, which means that what this is building up to is there's a higher level of fairness that needs to be put on the table. Jupiter in Libra is raising the scales, so to speak, as to what is fair. What we're worried about now is what is fair when it comes to the idea of how much do I love myself? How much do I love myself? How much is fair? How much love should I invest in myself? That's the big question. And so I believe the breakthrough will be this combination of my heart belongs here. I figured it out. The breakthrough is I don't belong here. I belong there. And when you discover whatever there is, you're going to find that emotionally it is fair. Emotionally, it sets the scales to be balanced. So the next 24 hours to 36 hours will definitely be cloudy with a chance of inner thunderstorms. But what you're getting to is a real realization of where your heart needs to aim for next. By Saturday morning, looking at the planets, it looks like things will be restored in balance, and by Sunday, you'll be checking with your soul to see if in fact this is the right direction to go. So hang tight and make sure you listen to that heart. Okay, Fran, this concludes my audio blogcasts for the week, but tomorrow I will be live on Facebook at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Come join us live if you'd like to join the conversation in our Facebook club at namastetoday.club. And if you can't make it live, no worries. I will be posting it to YouTube and at SeriousJoy.tv, and of course, delivering it personally to my personal Sensei clients. All right, friend, good luck with your inner storms. I hope you find some fantastic treasure in your breakthrough. While you're out there fighting the good fight for your heart, remember, I love you, and to live, love, be.
Live, love, be.